From now on, we will study about the determiner whose as the first sort of the determiner applied in the phrase of the speaker determines the range of the subject or object indicated by the noun or pronoun with the fact that the subject or object belongs to the other subject that the determiner whose indicates. The determiner whose describes a noun or a pronoun. The noun or pronoun indicates a range of a subject or an object. The definition of the determiner whose indicates a part of the range with the fact that the indicated part of the subject or object belongs to the other subject. The determiner whose indicates the other subject. The speaker does not reveal the subject indicated by the determiner whose in the sentence. However, the speaker only reveals the fact that the subject or object indicated by the noun or pronoun described by the determiner whose belongs to an unstated subject in the sentence. The speaker focuses on the fact that the indicated subject or object belongs to an unstated subject. There are 3 sentences. The first sentence is this: you told me whose message you received. The speaker indicates the direct object with the subordinate clause whose message you received, which the listener says the subject conveyed with the definition of the transitive verb told to the indirect object me. This sentence is stated in the first type of sentence. The definition of the transitive verb and the direct object indicated by the subordinate clause whose message you received are conveyed from the listener as the subject to the indirect object, who is the speaker. The speaker indicates the object that received the definition of the transitive verb told from the listener as the subject with the noun message that is described by the possessive determiner whose. In the subordinate clause, whose message you received, the phrase of the relative noun, whose message, indicates the object of the transitive verb received. The speaker reveals the information that the object of the transitive verb received, indicated by the noun message, belongs to an unstated subject in the subordinate clause. The object indicated by the noun message is described by the determiner whose in the declarative statement. So the speaker reveals that the object indicated by the general noun message belongs to an unstated subject in the sentence. So the object indicated by the general noun message is described by the determiner whose. The definition of the transitive verb received. The entire subordinate clause indicates the described object. The sentence is integrated from the 2 clauses. The first clause is this: you told me a story stated from him. The second conference is this: whose message did you receive? The speaker states the interrogative clause transformed into a declarative clause to be linked to the main clause as the subordinate clause. The first conference becomes the main clause, and the second conference becomes the subordinate clause. The speaker reveals the fact that the direct object of the transitive verb told, indicated by the phrase of the noun, a story stated from him, corresponds with the object to receive the definition of the phrase of the transitive verb did receive, indicated by the phrase of the noun whose message. The speaker links the subordinate clause to the main clause with the accordance between the two indications. The first indication is this: a story stated from him. The second indication is this: whose message. The speaker replaces the phrase of the noun "a story stated from him" with the subordinate clause, starts with the phrase of the relative noun "whose message." The second conference is transformed suitable for the subordinate clause. From the description by the possessive determiner "whose," that the object indicated by the noun "message" belongs to a subject, and by receiving the definition of the transitive verb received from the listeners as the subject, the object indicated by the noun "message" is applied as a direct object in the main clause.